Welcome back to my channel, and it's a continuation of the last session. We have set up basically tracing example Python file where we have created a resource, and then we set a REST trace provider, and then set up your TLP exporter, and created a manually we are creating a traces span and then child span too, so that visually we can visualize it. So to start with the basically next setup, let's do it first. What we need: a docker compose file, so that we can build basically maintain the services and everything there. So creating a docker compose file is very easy. So you can, I am on the setup here. I will just create a file, docker compose. I'm going very step by step, so that it will be easier. I will do a clear here so that it will be clearly visible to you, all of you basically. So basic structure, start with the version, and you can put any version 1, that's fine. And then we start with the version tag, so that basically docker compose it's a widely supported and stable. It's stable basically. And collector agent service, that's basically we are going to first set up it, and that's why because we have to set up a services. So we'll put a little bit of space for services. And what we are going to show, we last setup we have passed some agent 4317, right? That's what we are going to set up, collector agent. And for this we need image, and that image basically is hotel OpenTelemetry. Last time I used collector somewhere 0.29. Let me try with 29 if it does exist. And then we have a command. So whatever command you pass, that you can, we have covered in last docker video, if you remember, while installing Splunk. So that's a part of observability, and somewhere it's connected. But in this session we are going to pass some config, and that config I'm going to put in etc hotel. What will we name? Let me put like this, and then that's it. That would be not more than. Then we have to define volume. Volumes, okay. And then within the volume, because we have defined the file, right, from where it will get, so I will put in the root itself in the same directory, hotel call, what is the name, file name, which I have put it in the commands. So that's what we have to put here, and then I will map as etc inside the docker, basically hotel call dot. I'm making very simpler so that, and then we put a little one-time file as well, just for purpose. And then I need a ports. Let's set up a ports, and that ports we have this expose 4317, right? That what, it's a gRPC endpoint for OTLP, so that is needed. And then we need HTTP endpoint somewhere, and that is 4318. this is HTTP endpoint forwarded. So here what we did, we define a open the collector agent service. We are using official OpenTelemetry Collector image here, and the command we specifies that configuration file be mount into the container. So we also mounted temp directory for the host for temporary storage, and the port section basically we expose the gRPC and HTTP endpoint. That's what we have done for receiving the traces. So as the next, basically we have to um, let me try to build a YML, then we will do Jaeger in the last. So let's define setting up the environment basically is rated, and so we can say networks, and I will name it my network or anything you can put, and driver is here we have to use bridge. So this is okay for setting up collector agent, that is enough. And this hotel file we have to create it definitely, and that's next action we have to do, because without that it will not accept. So we have to have one file here under the test setup. So let me create a file, and the file name must be hotel call.yml, and in this one this is also have a structure. So OpenTelemetry, as we have shown you in the documentation, there is a receiver, there is a exporter, and there is a processor. So you can define any order, so that's not a problem. These are three sections. In receiver, I'm going to receive OTLP, that's what we had, and the protocol basically we are accepting, and that is HTTP and gRPC. That's a two protocol. So that's indentation. So that's so this is OTLP gRPC. Now exporter, meanwhile I will put a little bit of logging as well here, so that it will be available for us. Log label, I am putting debug for now. We can change it later on, but process and one thing, okay, let it processor. So that is basically, if you see my PPT that we have defined, that batches is there. So batches, it goes with batches, and under batches we have a timeout I can put, so we can define it. I will refer some documentation on that, how internally it handled the batches, how batches is configurable. And same level of batches we have resource. Under the resource we have attribute, we can here also tag attributes, and under the attribute you can have your keys define, and keys are like I can say component dot name 1 and value is I can say agent, that's for example, and action, which action I want to, it's not delete, it's insert. And you can use extension as well for health check, but let's proceed with normal scenario. So we did extension this, now we can do services and the final, and in the services we have a pipelines under the pipelines we have traces. That's what we have to do, because we have defined three type, because you can have a traces logging, you can have multiple pipeline under the traces we have, because overall this discussion is on about the tracing, distributed tracing. So receiver we have defined, what else we have defined, processor and exporters. So we have exporters and under this we can define what all the receiver we have configured. So it's OTLP, and here we have batch. This one we have defined under processor batch, and with comma separated you can give resource as well. So resource also I have defined, so that's also being passed here. So and then finally export, and I have only one exporter. In this setup basically we are just configuring the hotel collector in Docker Compose, so that we understand that hotel collector is listening properly on 4317, and Python is able to send the data in hotel collector, and we are able to see those traces. So this overall setup, basically we would like to communicate Python to OpenTelemetry properly. So let me save this. If Docker Compose file is okay, then there will be no problem. So let's try it. Compose, we don't know, but let's try. It's trying to pull collector agent and it's died. Docker login denied, and does not exist, or maybe require Docker login. So we may have some problem, that's what I said. And to understand, let me see Docker Compose image hotel. We have OpenTelemetry. I thought this is a problem. Metric collector. The version is there. We will check in a Docker Hub, no problem. But this problem must not. That's good. But it is not able to load the file. So the file name as invalid exporter process, and so it's loaded, but there is an issue with that. So let's review that. Error on cannot load, but what is the problem? Let's find out. And version, this is basically receiver, and under the receiver we have OTLP. So maybe this receiver is okay, and then OTLP and protocols HTTP could be, let's try, and then exporters. So that's logging processors, SOR S save timeout. Okay, let's try again. So this that's why I'm going one by one to have a clear picture what's going on. Maybe little bit, so that these are places, receivers, yes, it's there, processor S is missing, so exporters is there, logging, yes it's there, resource, yes it's defined, batch, yes it's there, OTLP, yes it's there, but let's try again. Yeah, I'm clearing. Cannot load as services with something is not okay. So what is, so we have all the things, exporter, and exporter we have logging we have log label debug, so that's why we have, and processor we collector unfinished with cannot load, reading of the river, decoding, invalid key services, so it's not able to find services. So I'm sorry, so could be this is the reason, but it looks like our agent is started begin. So net start -an grep -i4317, that is I needed, and it's running fine. So what I can do ls, I have duplicated the session, so I have one file tracer, that example, so I can run Python 3, and then let's see what will happen. Okay, so here we have what I can do here. I don't want to re-import and library because it's a different session, so environmental variable is not set for that, so I will do docker compose app from this session, so that's not a big deal whether I use this session, but this session I have already imported, I remember. So I can do ls python 3, and just an example, let's see whether, because I have enabled it's tried, it's a fail also. So why it's failing? Missing export batch, export file connection, so missing one required. And so let's see that why it's coming this error. That's a good part. Error is coming. So let's find out. And in this setup, we have imported time. We have imported traces exported into TLP, resources, trace provider, and batch span. That's what we use. We created a resource, and then we have a resource attribute, and then we have a service name. Under the service name we have set up these two things. Then we created a trace provider, set providers, yes, it's also fine. Then we have a tracer to get the tracer name, and then we created a TLP exporter, so TLP span exporter, and then we have set up endpoint, and endpoint is http column localhost. There is no issue with localhost 4317, double code is missing. That's why it does. And here it's not needed. I think this is what we have a problem. Let's try. I have not stopped the, I can show you that it's my hotel collector is running and listening. So now I am going to initiate the traffic again. In this window I want my traces, but again it's failing. And what could be the region? So let's find out. So column TLP span exporter, span processor. We created a batch span processor, and then we are passing look like here we have nothing. We have to do TLP exporter. That's what it is looking. Let's again before we finalize, so let's go to it. Then we have tracer span processor. Here we have a span processor. Then we invoke root span, and that's I think now it should work if it is saved. Yes. Hello from span 1, span 2, and then it hit. Good. Here you can see my span which I have generated. In next video we are going to send this span. So we have generated from Python code and it sent successfully to hotel collector. We have built the Docker compose file. Under that we have configured the OpenTelemetry, and we call the YML file, and it successfully called the file. We defined receiver, we defined processor. Under batches we have put it 1 second timeout, and then we have defined exporters as well, and then finally we run basically the Python code, send the span, and it's received. Let's continue with the next discussion. Thank you very much.